Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Juicebox Podcast.
Hi, my name is Zuzka, and I'm a mom of type 1 diabetic.
If this is your first time listening to the Juicebox Podcast and you'd like to hear more, download Apple Podcasts or Spotify, really any audio app at all. Look for the Juicebox Podcast and follow or subscribe. We put out new content every day that you'll enjoy. Want to learn more about your diabetes management? Go to juiceboxpodcast.com up in the menu and look for Bold Beginnings, the Diabetes Pro Tip series, and much more. This podcast is full of collections and series of information that will help you to live better with insulin. Please don't forget that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. Today's episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Eversense 365, the 1 year wear CGM. That's one insertion a year. That's it. And here's a little bonus for you. How about there's no limit on how many friends and family you can share your data with the Eversense Now app. No limits. Eversense. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Medtronic Diabetes and their MiniMed 780G system, designed to help ease the burden of diabetes management. Imagine fewer worries about missed boluses or miscalculated carbs, thanks to meal detection technology and automatic correction doses. Learn more and get started today at medtronicdiabetes.com/juicebox.
Hi, my name is Zuzka, and I'm a mom of type 1 diabetic.
Zuzka, that's how I say it?
Yes,
Awesome.
That's how you say it.
Because it sounds like it has a lot of S's, but when I look at it, it doesn't have any.
It doesn't. It's because Z is in front of K. So in my language, the Z pronunciation changes to S.
No kidding. And what language is that?
It's Slovakian.
Slovakian.
So like my legal name is Zuzana, but people that like me call me Zuzka. So I just introduced myself as Zuzka in the United States, and that's what I go by.
Awesome. Well, Zuzka, it's nice to meet you. Although,
nice to meet you.
Thank you. I got the feeling when we started talking before we recorded that you must listen to the podcast because you paused in the middle of the sentence and said, what did you say? It's so strange.
Yes, because it felt like I'm listening to podcasts, not like talking to a real person, in real time. So I was like, I should just be quiet and just keep on listening.
That'd be an awesome escalation of the technology. If you could just pick a podcast and it would talk directly to you, that'd be pretty great.
Yeah.
I'll work on that. And you said you have a child who has type 1?
Yes, I have a son.
How old is he?
He is 14.
14. How old was he when he was diagnosed?
He was a little after his 8th birthday.
Okay, so it's been a while. 6 years?
6 years. We just celebrated February 25th.
Oh, wow. Other children?
I have other daughter, and she has no autoimmune diseases. As of right now, knocking on the wood.
I'll knock on it with you, don't worry. Your son has anything besides type 1, or is that it?
About a year ago, he got diagnosed with hypothyroidism.
Okay, how's that going?
I think it's fine. We got the numbers down.
Mm-hmm.
I insisted on testing every year because of the podcast, because they were going to do it only every 2 years.
Mm.
And that's how we found out.
So as he's growing, you'll be able to keep an eye on medication adjustments. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good idea. What were his symptoms? How did you realize he had thyroid issues?
Now looking back, he was just like a couch potato all summer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, is that him turning into teenager? Like, why he's just laying around all the time, like not wanting to do anything?
Yeah.
And then we got him tested, and whatever that test was, it was 13.
Oh gosh. Yeah. No, that's pretty significant.
Yeah. So like the endo was like, we're not like waiting for a mail order. You need to go to the pharmacy right now and get it and get his double dose and get him going.
Good. So you have a good endo, it sounds like.
I believe I do.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
And she also does now when I have from podcasts, she pretty much does what I ask her to do. So that's helpful.
You dropped out for a second, but when you come with information from the podcast, she just accepts it?
Yes.
Oh, All right. Well, finally getting a little bit of respect.
Yeah, I learned stuff and I'm thinking, and that's why I insisted on the, thyroid testing and all of that. And she's all good. And she always gives us praises, but because I know how much better we can be based on a podcast, I'm never happy.
Where are you at now that you're good but not happy?
So we have been with A1C 6 and under, but we're learning more independence. So his last one was 6.4.
Yeah. I mean, Arden's, in college and we're constantly, giving away more and more focus. I wouldn't say that we have a lot to do with her diabetes most days. And she's not rocking a 5.7 or anything like that. So it's, I mean, the truth is that if I just took her stuff from her, which is not a thing I would do, but if I just took all of her stuff from her, I'd have her A1C back like that in a week. And she's still just figuring the whole thing out. And that's a big part of it, really. Being able to have the tools and understand the job is one thing, but then how to blend that job into your life is a different thing. So,
yeah. And I think that's what we probably got into how he got diagnosed and stuff, but that's our biggest struggle right now.
I would imagine at his age, and he's had it for a while. He's probably sick of it by now too.
Oh yeah. He's in a burnout.
Tell me about his diagnosis. What were your first signs?
Thinker. So I was thinking how I'm going to say this. And because you always ask, were you surprised? And I mean, generally speaking, I was surprised. But when we were in the middle of it, I was telling the doctor he has diabetes. He had a cold, just like everybody else. And then he was just acting strange. He's starting to wet his bed, and drinking a lot.
Yeah.
And then I remember one time he came out of the shower and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see your ribs. That's weird. And then I was talking to my friends hey, have the kids, lost weight? And they're like, yeah, but we go for our annual once a year. So you don't really know how much they lost. It can go up and down as they go through their growth spurts. One of the significant was one time he woke up in the morning and he ran from his bed by the sink and he's like, my heart is beating so fast. I need to drink.
Oh.
I'm like, something's wrong with my kid. And I took him to the clinic here. They check his blood sugar. It was 92. And at that point, I was calling for about a month. I think I would call my pediatrician twice a week. Something's wrong with my kid. Something is I know something is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I even said I think he has diabetes. And she's like, there's no way he has diabetes because of that 92 blood sugar.
Right.
At that one time. I was then at this point, I was well, let's just hope he has UTI. Let's just hope that's it. I went to the clinic. I remember I picked him up from school and I said, well, we'll be right back. It's just 10 minutes appointment. They finger prick him and the reader said too high to read.
Wow.
And I look at that lady that was doing it and I'm like, what that means? And she's like, well, it might be broken. Let's just see. Let's do it one more time. And he did it again. At that point, she walked out of the room. She's like, I just have to check on something. And then the doctor came in and she asked, so do you have any history of diabetes in your family?
Yeah. Through everyone's stories, the I just have to go check on something means I have to go tell the doctor your kid has diabetes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel so I live on the island by water from the mainland. So we had to take ferry and there was no ferry going to the mainland at that point. And my husband is captain. So I just remember they're telling me okay, you have to go to the ER. You cannot go to urgent care. They will be waiting for you. We call the children's hospital. Go call your husband. And I remember calling my husband and saying, what are you doing? And it's well, parking the boat, the big ferry. And I said, well, we have to go back on it. You have to run an extra trip.
Yeah, keep it running. We're gonna
keep it running.
Just for us, though. Nice private tour.
Yes. So we did that. I remember the other ferry captain is like, hey, buddy, do you want a cookie? So he had one last cookie before insulin on the ferry ride. And it took us, maybe 4 or 5 hours to get to the ER. Because it's to get to the ferry, we had to grab our stuff. Then it's 30 minutes ride. Then it's another hour at least. All of that. It was quite a while before we got to ER.
Zuzka, we're going to have to take a little left turn here for a second. So where are you right now? Where do you live?
I live on Washington Island.
Oh, so you're up in the Northwest.
Yes.
Oh,
so
I
I don't know if you remember one time I posted on Facebook a picture of a house on the ferry.
Yes.
That's my house.
Oh, I
that
see.
came across water.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
we do all the ice fishing that you hate. That like no people more dear than people. That's us. That's me.
I don't hate it. I just think it sounds very frightening and sign of silly. That's all. Only because it's not warm.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Because at one point you just said my husband's the captain. And I was like, is that like a weird like relationship thing, or is that his job? I wonder.
We're equal partners in this relationship.
Oh, I see.
He's just a ferry captain.
He's a ferry captain. He's not the captain of you. I got it.
Absolutely not.
Do you ever talk to your son about that? Does he remember that whole thing, or was he kind of out of it at that point? Today's episode is sponsored by Medtronic Diabetes, who is making life with diabetes easier with the MiniMed 780G system. The MiniMed 780G automated insulin delivery system anticipates, adjusts, and corrects every 5 minutes. Real-world results show people achieving up to 80% time in range with recommended settings without increasing lows, but of course, individual results may vary. The 780G works around the clock so you can focus on what matters. Have you heard about Medtronic's extended infusion set? It's the first and only infusion set labeled for up to a 7-day wear. This feature is repeatedly asked for, and Medtronic has delivered. 97% of people using the 780G reported that they could manage their diabetes without major disruptions of sleep. They felt more free to eat what they wanted, and they felt less stress with fewer alarms and alerts. You can't beat that. Learn more about how you can spend less time and effort managing your diabetes by visiting medtronicdiabetes.com/juicebox. Today's episode is sponsored by a long-term CGM that's going to help you to stay on top of your glucose readings, the Eversense 365. I'm talking, of course, about the world's first and only CGM that lasts for 1 year. 1 year, one CGM. Are you tired of those other CGMs? The ones that give you all those problems that you didn't expect? Knocking them off, false alerts, not lasting as long as they're supposed to? If you're tired of those constant frustrations, use my link, eversensecgm.com/juicebox to learn more about the Eversense 365. Some of you may be able to experience the Eversense 365 for as low as $199 for a full year. At my link, you'll find those details and can learn about eligibility. eversensecgm.com/juicebox. Check it out.
I don't think he remembers much. I remember just because it's a very small ER that we went to, like literally every time the doctor came to our room, he said, I'm waiting for the children's hospital. I'm waiting for a phone call. I called the children's hospital. Like he wasn't doing anything on his own. And I just remember like seeing him so skinny there. But my son likes the attention. So I think at that point, he wasn't looking at it as something like horrific. He likes all the attention.
Yeah.
He's over that now, but at that point, he wasn't like upset or anything.
I gotcha. I'm so glad that you live where you live, because I didn't want to. I'm sitting here like testing my geography in my head, and I'm thinking, I think Slovakia is landlocked. I'm like, what is she talking about? And
not anymore.
I was like, I don't think that's an island. And then I started thinking, like, do I have to check? Like, I don't want to check myself. I'm pretty sure that's right.
No, I live United States.
Exactly.
I was born in Czechoslovakia, which is now Slovakia.
Yeah. It's actually, did it split into two? Is it like?
Yep.
It's like Czechia and Slovakia now? Is that how it works?
Czech Republic and Slovakia.
Czech Republic. Okay. All right.
Split in peace.
Gotcha. I've had a surprising number of people on this podcast from that part of the world. It's really interesting. How did you find the podcast then?
When he was diagnosed, I just needed a break from life. So I started to take walks every day. Like I would just tell my husband, like when he was diagnosed, it was so hard. Like we would take turns. Who's going to the garage and cry? Mm-hmm. Because you have to keep it together for the kids.
Yeah. And
I just needed a break. So I would go and just walk up and down the road, and I would just like look for diabetes podcasts, something to listen to and learn from. And I kept going back to you because it's most conversational.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about the knowledge about diabetes. For me, a lot of it is just being within people that are going through the same thing.
Yeah. No. Well, I'm glad you found it. I know there are plenty of people who like the small sips or the bowl beginning stuff, and I like making it, but at the same time, like, I really don't think the podcast would have endured if it was just all that.
No.
I just think it needs to be, conversational is a nice way to put it, but it needs to be entertaining too, to some degree, or why would you flip it back on again?
And you don't want to feel alone. Like I feel as a parent or diabetics, like you feel so alone because people just don't understand.
Yeah. No, I know.
So hearing someone going through the same thing and coming on the other side better, it's just so helpful.
Yeah.
It's just so helpful.
Well, you've been listening for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question then? Because you're a great person to ask this of. Is it helpful too that it's more lighthearted, that it's not so like, even when we're having conversations, it's not super serious and sad?
100%.
Okay.
I just don't want to like listen to your podcast every day and cry.
Yeah, I know.
I have to keep on living. My son has to keep on living. My husband, like we all have to keep on living.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't listen to it if it's a Debbie Downer.
No, I agree.
All the time.
Okay, that's good.
I remember when I joined the Facebook, I think it has 4,000 people.
Oh, yeah, I got a couple more.
I remember you like making a big deal. Like, we have 4,000 members. And I don't know how many thousand you have right now.
59,000 this morning.
There you go.
Yeah. It's funny. It got to a point where I like making posts that are like celebratory, And my wife says to me one time, she goes, I don't know if this feels celebratory anymore, if it feels like you're rubbing it into somebody. And I was like, what are you talking? I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, you were just like, we have 50,000. She's like, yeah, I think we all get it. It's growing. And I thought, that's not how I think about it. I just think of it as like, look, it's, it's getting bigger and there's more people here. We're helping more people. And she goes, yeah, I might cut back on the celebratory posts. Maybe just every 10,000 at this point. I was like,
she always keeps you in check.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's something you should be proud of. It's more of us in this community connected. Before, the Facebook and all the social media, we weren't that connected. Like, I don't know in person any other mom that I can like talk to on daily basis.
Yeah. No kidding.
The more people you connect, the better for us who are in it.
Well, I agree. And also some people come and go. I'm honored that you've listened for 6 years, but I don't think everybody does that. Like, I think at some point people are like, okay, I feel comfortable now and we know how to do it. And, I'm going to go do something else, which I understand. Although I do see a lot of people come back and they'll say, I knew what I was doing. It was going great, but I got unfocused and now I'm back again listening and my A1C is coming back down. My variability is getting better. There's something about being connected to it, I think, that helps people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like when my son goes to college, I will go and listen to the episode about getting ready for college that you just...
Right. Yeah. Oh, that little series. That was a good series.
Yes.
Even like adding more people. It's funny because there's a small subsection of people online who get mad if somebody asks a question that's been asked already. But I genuinely believe that that's the part of the goal of the group is to be there when someone asks, a day one or a first year question that you've maybe heard asked 15 times, but you know the answer to. That's perfect because you know the answer. Like, we just need a couple people to.
Or maybe I needed a reminder.
Yeah.
Maybe I knew it.
Right.
And I just put it on a back burner.
Yeah.
And now I need to be reminded again.
Yep. No, it's very valuable. I can't believe that I was able to keep it like the vibe in there the same as it grew. That's the thing I can't believe that we accomplished. It's usually those groups get too big and they get unwielding and you kind of lose control of them and then they just burn themselves out. But this is just continuing to go. So it's very, very cool.
Because there are people diagnosed every day.
Yeah.
So every day you have those people desperate for community and information.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's diagnosed. I'd like to hear a little bit about how you started off with management. Was it pens? They give you a pump? Do you have a CGM? How did all that work?
So after the ER, I've been in the ER for like 4 hours or something. And then the doctor goes like, so you have a 7:30 appointment in a children's hospital. So now you can go to the hotel.
Mm.
So they just let us go, sleep in a hotel. And then we have like the full day education. And we were on pens, Lantus, and Humalog. Silly advice. I remember giving my son first shot, and I did such a bad job that he started to do it on his own because I did such a bad job. It's like, I'm doing it on my own. I'm not letting you do that again.
Is that a hack? You just really mess up the one time and the kid's like, I'll do it. Never mind.
Take it as you will. But like, I remember it was like, I didn't know better. And it was like, almost like I stabbed him. Like if I had a knife in my hand and I stabbed him with the pen.
Yeah, you really like lunged?
Yes. Like they didn't give me orange before to practice. So
I think I've made every mistake in the books, like doing it. Like I've gone on the wrong angle. I've gone too slow. Like
yes.
There's a lot. I don't know. I'm glad we don't do many of them, to be perfectly honest.
So we did that. And I think on our next endo appointment, so in 3 months, I was on the phone with Dexcom, and then we got Dexcom.
Yeah, it's important to go quickly. Made a big difference, I imagine.
Yes.
Yeah. You didn't manage for long without it, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
But two sides of a coin. It's like, it's great that you have Dexcom and you don't have the finger prick, but then you have this unbelievable amount of data that you can obsess about.
Mm-hmm.
Having all these. Well, I'm definitely glad. I don't want to live without Dexcom.
Did you get past that feeling? You still feel overwhelmed?
I don't know. I just heard my accent so bad when I said that. I just don't know the balance between like keeping his physical health good or his mental health and our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to. And I'm trying really hard not to react to every number, or when he's high, like, trust him that he gave himself insulin and let it sit there for a minute because it takes a minute to start going down or Dexcom to catch on. So we're learning 6 years in, still learning.
It's funny. I think a lot about how to communicate that to people. And I think so far through conversations the best way, because I don't know a way to sit down and say those things. You have to wait sometimes. You have to see what's going to happen. You can't overreact. Like it's easy to say, but like the feeling while you're in it is difficult to ignore.
Yeah, because if it doesn't start going down, they're like, oh, crap-a-doodles. I just, wasted 20 minutes. He could have insulin in him.
Yeah. No, and then you have that feeling, especially at nighttime when you're like, I'd like to go to sleep at some point. Or,
yes.
We're trying to go outside and do something, or like you're trying to get to that number for a real reason. Does it still feel like, he's being hurt health-wise by this? Or is it more about like not having to manage it? Like, what are you trying to escape when you're trying to escape that number?
I am trying to escape bad numbers being his normal. Like, how that like slowly you get like, 150 is okay, 180 is okay, 200 is okay.
Yeah.
And then it's your normal. I'm trying to escape that. But we are trying to teach him independence, and I'm trying to let go, and I'm trying to have a good relationship with him, and I'm trying him not to develop a bad relationship with food.
Yeah.
There's like so many things to think about, and I wish there was like, if you do A, then it's B, but there's just not. And like, you just never know. It's like 1,000th decision every day. I
have to tell you, it's probably not very comforting for you, but I still feel exactly like that.
Yeah, that's not comforting at all.
Yeah. So those concerns and the desires, I have those exact ones. And I'd have to say that Arden's biggest impediment is the waiting. Like she still waits to do things. And she's not yet seeing the value in like, if I do it now, it'll be less effort than doing it later.
Yeah.
That part.
There's so many times I told my son, like, if you just take he's on Omnipod. If you just take 10 seconds to give yourself insulin, then we don't have to deal with it for 3 hours after.
Yeah.
because it takes a minute if you get high. And he always, when he gets high, he knows that's bad. So then he crushes himself and then he's too low. I always tell, like, if you get high, you're going to get low.
Yeah.
Because you're going to crash it, because it's hard to catch it, the fast drop, when you're super high going low.
Mm-hmm. Listen, Arden's 20, and I just recently told her, hey, you got lower. She got too low to ignore at 4 a.m., right? And I said, that happened because you didn't change the pod the day before when I said, I think now's the time to change the pod. And she looked at me like crossways, and I said, you left on a site that wasn't working. And so you kept pushing a bunch of insulin through it. And it wasn't being effective, but that insulin was still going in there, and it was gonna catch up eventually. You know what I mean? Like your body was gonna use, and it happens overnight. And I said, if you just would have put a new pod on, that pod would have been very effective. The number would have come down sooner with less insulin. Then there wouldn't have been all that insulin sitting around. And then you don't have this like latent low overnight. She finally got too low at 4, but she was getting low throughout the night. Like you could see her just drifting down and down and down. And she's using Trio, so she's got an algorithm going. And, that thing was trying to stop that drop for like 4 hours. It had taken her basal away at like midnight. And she just kept dropping steadily, midnight right till 4 o'clock, when it just, it wouldn't catch it. Alarms obviously went off, and we were like, okay, took care of it. Like it wasn't like a big deal compared to that. But then we were awake, and like she fell back asleep pretty quickly, but I stayed up for 15 more minutes to make sure, and then suddenly it's 4:30 and you're like, oh God, am I awake? And I said, anyway, all this is fixed. If 12 hours ago, we would have done something different, and we wouldn't have had to go through all this. And there'll be people who are like, oh, she's 20, she should know. Or like, I just still think that's young. The real meaning of it's not getting to her yet. It will one day. Like I've spoken to a number of people who, who've grown up with diabetes, and you get to a certain age and it's like everything else in life. You go, oh, okay, I see this is important, but you got to stay healthy till you get to it.
So I have a question for you. So you told her you should change your pod, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't do it.
Yes.
Right. So then what? Like you just let it go? Like, tell me what I should do when my son doesn't listen to me.
That's my growth period right there. Then I go, okay, she's 20. I told her. She understands why. I've communicated it pretty well. She seems irritated. I don't think she's going to do it. Now, what am I going to do? Am I going to make myself crazy for the next 10 hours? Or are we just going to let this be the teaching moment that it is and it moves on? I'm comfortable with it being the teaching moment that it is, because for us, a bad outcome is a 6.5 A1C. If she was ignoring it and her A1C was 9, I would probably treat it differently. But it's not killing her to have this learning experience. So I let her have it. I probably think of it exactly the same as if I said to a kid, like, don't smoke weed, and they were like, I tried weed, I'd be like, okay, I guess that's like, but if it was like, don't try heroin, and they're like, no, I'm going to, I guess I'd step up and be like, oh, okay, well, I guess we found my line.
Yeah.
I think that whether it's diabetes or just regular life, no one learns by being told. Actually, you told me you like the podcast because it's conversational. Like, right? Like if I sat down and just hammered a bunch of ideas at you, you might be resistant to it. I think parenting's the same. Honestly, if you really listen closely to the podcast, I really just apply how I think about life to diabetes. That's all I'm doing. Yeah. So it's not killing her in the moment. So she's going to be high, not feel as good as she could, get low overnight, have that experience. And one day it's going to happen. And she's going to think, I should just change that stupid pump. So,
there was so many times over the last 6 years that I'm looking at Dexcom reading and I'm like, oh my God, he's about to have a seizure. And that's like crazy. I think I'm losing years of my life from the stress of it. And it's, for sure it's not good for him either. So I don't know how far I can let that independence go at this point. I mean, he's still very young, although let me try, I can do it. He makes mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they are big mistakes. Or his new thing is he closes Dexcom app, so I can't see his numbers.
Oh, that's not okay.
Because he can see it on the Omnipod 5 app.
Yeah.
And that it's just really hard and really not okay.
Right.
And also, like, I told you, like, he's burnout. So every alarm, every beep bothers him.
Yeah. He's
so he just he shuts it off. So I don't have to listen to it. And he's like, I'm fine, Mom. I'm fine. I'm like, you're not fine. You're 39.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah. They think I'm fine covers every blood sugar and situation between just about to have a seizure and 500. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Yes.
Listen, I understand like psychologically where it comes from. I would say this, like if he wants to try to do it on his own, it's awesome, but he needs to know what the tools do. He can't say to you, look, I've got the whole toolbox here. Leave me alone. I know what to do. And then grab a wrench when he needs a hammer. You can't just ignorantly go forward not knowing what you're doing. If he has some ideas to try to enact, I would say, look, you want to do it on your own? That's great. Here are the things you need to do. Like, these are the things. Go ahead and do them. But you don't just get to wildly guess about what to do and make yourself super low or, and when it goes wrong, shutting off the Dexcom so I don't know. That's not an answer.
No.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, if you're super high or super low, you're not really your best self.
Right.
How do I know you're making the right decision? Because his personality changes.
Sure.
When he's high or when he's low.
And that person's trying to make decisions that they already didn't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know.
It's very, very hard. People look at my son and he's very healthy and the work that goes into it.
Sure.
And don't see him when he's super high or super low and how it affects him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sometimes people, because he wasn't in coma, he wasn't in a hospital overnight, he never has a seizure, knock on wood. People don't understand how bad and how quickly this can get.
Yeah. They just think it's easy because you look okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we look okay and he has his Dexcom and he has his pump. And I am so glad that nothing bad has happened.
Yeah, of course.
But then because nothing bad has happened, people don't understand the seriousness of it.
When you say people don't understand, do you think he's one of those people who doesn't understand? Or you just mean outside people? I
don't know if he wants to understand.
I think that's a powerful insight, honestly, because I've had those feelings sometimes when you start to explain something to Art and she goes, I don't want to know about this. It's not about like having a seizure or something. It's even just like, hey, what does this pill do? Or why am I doing this? Or like, and you start explaining it. I think there's part of her that's like, look, I don't want to understand why this is so important because then I'm going to realize I have to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he got diagnosed with hypothyroidism, that's what he said. It's like just another part of my body not working.
Yeah. No, I know.
And that's sad.
It is.
And I try to tell him, like, everybody has his burdens. Like, this is not going to go away. I almost feel like no one ever sat me down and said, Zuzka, your son has diabetes. It was like, well, it kind of looks like it. And I almost feel like I'm still waiting for this big meltdown to let all these emotions out of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm realizing, because diabetes is not going away, that I just have to live with them at all times.
Yeah. Have you tried torturing the captain? That might make you feel better.
Daily basis.
Okay. Well, if that's not working, I don't know what to do. My wife seems to really excel at it. So I like when you talk to other women when they're not involved in your life. They'll say things like, well, they know that they can say that to you because you'll take it and you won't stop loving them. And I'm like, that doesn't make me feel better.
Well, she's stick around for all these years. She's not going to leave, you know.
I don't know if we want to test that, but okay. Well, yeah, no, I think that was really something you just said there about, like, you're not sure what he really wants to know. I think that's probably something people could really resonate with. You can't make it too real for me, because then how do I shut my Dexcom alarm off when I can't take it anymore? How do you escape an impossible situation when it's an impossible situation?
Yeah. I wish he would understand that if we are proactive, that we would spend so much less time on diabetes, and we would avoid so many, like, bad feelings.
Step out of diabetes for a second. think about all of the things that you see going on in the world. Could we not say that about all of them? You know what I mean? If people just put a little effort in now instead of later, they'd see, or if they just didn't eat this instead of that, then this wouldn't have, like, the problem you're having, or that anyone's having, it's not diabetes specific. It's a human problem. If it wasn't diabetes and it didn't feel so omnipresent and it didn't feel so important to living, you'd be having this issue with him about something different, because this is issues that people have. I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, his biggest issue is the biggest issue, whatever that is, for every kid, for every child. It's just, if we can go back to this, like, you being a life coach on some of these episodes, like sometimes in the middle of the night, like he's 180, 190, and I'm thinking, shall I get up and give him insulin or not? Because then once I'm awake, it takes me an hour to fall back to sleep.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm trying not to be the lazy mom, take care of my kids, or if needed, like, wake him up if something, needs to happen. And then I'm like, well, if I wake him up in the middle of the night, he's not going to fall back to sleep. Then he's going to have a bad day the next day because he's going to be, so tired. And I just don't know where the balance is. Again, because based off the knowledge that we have, from Jenny and you, we can do so good. But if I push every little thing that I know, number one, it might not even work as well as I think, because I'm not him, But number two, he would hate me because I'm just taking care of his diabetes. But I don't want our relationship to be just about diabetes. So sometimes I choose to let diabetes go because I don't want to get into another fight with him about diabetes, because our relationship has to be about more than just diabetes.
Of course, yeah. I find myself often thinking there's something to be done here, but I don't want Arden to think I don't trust her. Or I don't want her to feel like she doesn't know what she's doing. Like, I'd almost rather her have a less than perfect outcome, but feel good about it, than me to step up and be like, oh, that's awesome, but if we just did this, then this would be like better. I try to avoid that. Although I would say the other night, we were making adjustments to insulin, didn't get them quite right. So overnight, she started rising. The system couldn't get ahead of it. And I think when she got to 140 and still had like a diagonal up arrow, she was definitely asleep. I walked into her room and I made a bolus and went back to bed, because I think it was going to end. It was a very specific situation, and we had made an adjustment. I was like, oh, this adjustment's not going to be right for overnight. It's not going to work. If it's not going to work, then it's 2:00 in the morning, and this thing's going to go 140, 160, maybe level out at 180. And then the algorithm's going to fight with it for 4 hours. And then, if she tries to sleep in the morning past 7:00, then her new settings are going to come on and it's going to make her low. And I just was like, I'm just going to go bolus this. So, I did that. I didn't tell her, honestly. I don't know. You know how when everybody else is watching television and you're doing a load of laundry and you're like, I'm helping them. They don't care. Nobody appreciates this. But it really does need to get done. I kind of looked at it that way, I guess.
We trying to get him, he wants his independence.
Sure.
Also, I don't like him having fun by him at night because I don't know if he's just on it playing games and he needs to sleep. So we've been going back and forth over last couple of months. I even get him a sugar pixel in his room and then he just unplugs it because it wakes him up. So for now, we're trying to do on the weekends, he can have his phone by him at night and take care of it. And on the weeks, school nights, it stays with me at night. But during the weekends, the rule is if I have to come downstairs and take care of your diabetes, the phone goes back with me and it's with me for a week. Yeah,
the phone's a tough one. I'll tell you.
It is.
Yeah. Because it's not just a phone. Obviously, almost the last thing it is a phone. I tried to explain to you, I'd like you to hold your phone to your ear. And you're like, I don't know. I'd probably never do that even. It's so much more. It's obviously a portal out into the world to everything, and kids are probably not going to choose to do something really awesome with it. but they could. Like, he could be watching a nature documentary. He could be watching that Daredevil show on Marvel right now is very good. Like, he could listen, he's 14. You know what I'm saying? He could be doing other stuff with it. It's tough because you're not just leaving the controller to his insulin pump with him. You're leaving a portal to the world with him.
Yes.
Yeah. And they don't have listen, I'm 53. I barely have the wherewithal to put it down sometimes. Like, how's he going to do it?
You always said, like, I hardly think about diabetes.
That's true.
I always tell people, like, all I think about is diabetes, but I'm so sick of talking about diabetes, except this 1 hour with you. I'm very happy too. I love the diabetes community around Juicebox because they're like people like me. And I struggle because sometimes I want to tell people, like in the morning, like, oh my gosh, we had such a bad night. Like, I tell them sometimes, but I don't tell them all the time. But in the same time, I'm like, I don't want to tell them because I don't want them, like, not to have my son over for a play date or a sleepover. Or if he's dating your daughter, you're going to be like, well, don't date him because, he's so much work.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's hard.
No, I know. Hard. Yeah. Well, then use the group for that. Just go into the group and be like, I had a really bad night. I needed to tell somebody and I don't feel comfortable saying it in my real life. So here it is. And you'll find 25 other people who probably had a bad night too. They'll commiserate with you. Oh,
for sure. Like, there's sometimes when people, and I did it too, like, you post at 3 a.m, like, hey, blah, 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 it's happening. Anybody out? Up. And they're like, oh yeah, me too. It's not going great. I remember for people around diabetes, like not directly related, when my son got diagnosed, like, I thought no one would ever have him for play dates because it's like so much work and I would have to explain everything. And I remember one of my friends being like, oh yeah, we'll totally have him over. And that was so meaningful to me.
Yeah.
Like, that meant a word to me because at that moment I didn't know that can happen. Like, once he got diagnosed, now it's normal. Now he goes. But like, it was so hard first to be like, he's going to go and be in the care of someone else. Will they be okay with it? Having, kid with diabetes in their household, knowing the risk, or willing to do if something needs to happen,
Yeah. I'll tell you the thing that breaks my heart still. And now that Arden's older, like, trust me, I had all the concerns when she was younger because there was a family who said, like, she can't stay here overnight. And I've also had people, like one father, he said, I got in the morning and came over to pick her up and I said, how was it? And he goes, oh, it was perfect. Everything was great. I'm like, you look terrible. He goes, I wasn't able to sleep. He sat up all night worried about her blood sugar. But he still did it and invited her back.
And what a good guy.
Yeah, right. And I've had people say, like, I'm sorry, she just can't stay here. It's just people who are overwhelmed or not interested or whatever. They, just it's not fun for them. And so they don't want it, whatever. But nowadays, as she's older, if I had like the equivalent of that horrible feeling, I think is that, Arden she's on the internet. Like, don't get me wrong, but she's not, she's not super involved in this. So Arden's a really, really pretty girl. And she's a lovely person and smart. And, she has a great personality. She's a really great package of a person. And sometimes I'll hear her joke about things like, she meets a boy or something. And like, it's something like, well, we'll see, like, how much of me he can take. But she doesn't mean her personality, or she means like her troubles. Having to take a pill for this or that, or a shot, or, insulin, that kind of thing. It's funny because I watch her navigate it not differently than all the young women that I've had interviewed, like, in their teens and in their 20s and even talking to married women who have type 1. Like, I can see her like naturally doing the things that I've heard other thoughtful, smart women do. Don't tell too much at first, but don't hide it, like all that stuff. She met a boy recently. She came home the other night. They were watching a movie, and she came home the other night, and he brought her back and dropped her off. But she told him, I have to go back now. Like, I have to change one of my devices. And she didn't like tell him more. Like, she had to swap her Dexcom out. She didn't tell him more. She didn't say what it was. Just, I have one of my devices I have to change. She said about an hour after he dropped her off, he texted her and asked, did that all go okay? Like, he didn't know enough about it to ask like a pointed question, but he checked in with her. And that was a moment where I thought, like, she told us about it. So I thought, okay, that's good. This is a thing that happened that she's comfortable with. So I try not to be heartbroken about it because she seems like she's navigating it.
Yeah.
It's different. She's a little older.
Can I ask you one more question about Arden?
Yeah, of course.
So I remember, how old was Arden when she went to Disneyland? And you had like a nurse going with her. Do I remember it correctly?
High school. Yeah,
Okay.
She was a senior in high school. They did a senior trip to Disney, and there was a nurse there for everybody. But this nurse we were able to reach out to her and get her. Oh God, you're making me remember this. She came in one night to give Arden a juice in the hotel room, and Arden texted me and was like, "This lady's like shoving a juice on my face. I already had juice." That was her senior year of high school.
Okay, so tell me, how did you get from, if my daughter wants to go to Disneyland in her senior year, she needs a nurse, to she's going to college and there's no one. I mean, I know her roommates have Dexcom. Like, my son wants to go on like overnight trips. And I'm like, well, you can't go because there has to be someone. So I will have to go with you, or your dad will have to go with you, because, so how did that process? Because it's within a year, right? From her senior year to her first year of college.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the first thing is that the school was providing a nurse for everybody.
Okay.
So they were there. It's not like I was like, you send a nurse or my kid can't go. There was a nurse, so we utilized it.
So you wouldn't, if that wasn't for the nurse, would you specifically ask for one? How would you deal with it?
I would have found a different way. I think the answer to your question is that you have two choices. You can stand still or move forward. And you can only move forward with the spaces that are provided. So when we have to move forward, I look around me for my resources and I make the best of what I have. But we're not going to stop moving forward. Does that make sense?
Okay, tell me more. No.
Listen, if you're trying to send your 14-year-old away for a week without somebody there, I understand you not wanting to be on him. I understand you saying, look, at this point, buddy, you don't know what you're doing well enough to avoid lows. You get lows sometimes, and it's in the middle of the night. This is a safety issue. It has nothing to do with our trust for you or whatever. We're just not at that point yet. But if he was 17 and he could take care of it, and you could, look in the face 3 guys that were going to be in a room with him and say, listen to me, you guys are going to be gone for 4 days. No one lets him die. You understand? And here are the things we're going to do. Then I would say between that and then, having Find My iPhones, you could like send a loud noise to wake somebody up. I used that a couple of times in Arden's freshman year of college. I just looked around me for what was available and I MacGyvered it into that. Is that a reference people are going to know? Shoot.
Probably I won't.
MacGyver was a television show in the 80s.
Oh, I know MacGyver.
Okay, where a guy took
It's tool for everything, or make a tool out of everything.
He could make something out of anything, right? So so she's going to college, or not letting her go to college. This is the new situation. You're going to get roommates, but you don't know who they are. They can be drunk, high, or, checked out, or in a boy's room overnight. They might not even be there. So you just look around for what's around you and you adapt it to the situation and put yourself in the safest, make sure there's redundancies. It's not just like, oh, I'll do this if she gets low and there's no second step. Like, you had different steps. And there are nights that you'll like sit in your bed and think you're going to have a heart attack while you're waiting for somebody to answer. And then you just come to realize that if that doesn't work, then you're going to call 911. And then there's another system in place and another system in place, and hopefully it's enough. But the alternative is that kid lives in your house the rest of his life and has a really weird life, and you don't want that either.
Yeah, that's not allowed.
Yeah.
So we just tried it for the first time. Well, so number one, we are in a different situation because, again, we are separated by water. Even at 2:00 in the morning, I can just go and drive somewhere 3 hours if he needs me. So we tried it for the first time. Me and my husband went off the island and we let him stay at home. We had his cousin, thank goodness, stay with him. And of course, he got too high. Then he got too low. Then he got annoyed by alarms. So he shut off his Dexcom app.
Yeah.
So me and my husband in a hotel in 3 a.m, we're like, what do we do? What do we do? Like, do we wake up this cousin? And then at some point we did have to call the cousin and said, because she was in a house, because we needed a secondary phone, say another person there. And she had to go find him. Of course he was fine. Like, I had Juicebox. I'm like, why couldn't you answer the phone call? Text me back something. So I'm not here sitting on the bed with my husband for 2 hours. Like, is he having a seizure and no one's around him?
I'm fine. Well, that's nice. Well, me and the captain just had a stroke. So, and I didn't mean that like that.
Yeah. Calling my husband captain.
Oh, well, you called him that. I mean, now to me, he's the captain. You're Tennille.
Okay.
We're moving along.
I am very proud of him, as long as we know that he's not captain of my life.
Yeah, no, I understand.
He's just a captain on the ferry.
Yeah, out in the world, he's a respected man. In your home, he's an idiot. I got it. Don't worry. I know what's going on.
Okay. My son is 14. By the time he's 17, he will grow and mature. I will grow and mature. As a family, we will grow and mature. And we will be able to go through this process to let him go to college.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to need some weed, too, because you're not going to calm down. I don't think so, Scott. It sounds to me like you've got a lot of that mom thing in you. It's not good.
Well, I love him.
No, I know. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean like loving him and being worried is bad. I mean, like the anxiety piece is tough.
The overbearing.
Yeah. It's terrible. Like, I don't know, like, what nature did. I mean, I guess, honestly, I look at boys and I look at girls, and if nature...
You're making me feel horrible.
Well, no, if nature didn't do this to you, ladies, we'd all be dead already, because guys... Because your son's an example. Guys would be like, it's fine, don't worry about it. It's fine, don't worry about it, right into a volcano. Look at every story a guy tells you. I was a mess, I was doing this, I was doing that. I met this girl, she got me straight. It's how it works. I don't know if anybody's paying attention. I was
told that was the best thing that happened to my husband. Of course. So.
No. Yeah, I would have died in a road rage incident years ago if I hadn't met Kelly or something like that. But at the same time, like, whatever that switch is, it's unfair to you guys that it doesn't have a dimmer. Because whether it's a baby 6 months old choking on a little bit of formula or a 25-year-old out on a date, you guys have the same level of, oh my God, everything's going wrong. We're all going to die. I have to stop it. I know that the best I've come up with is to say, hey, you should calm down. But I don't think that works really.
Don't say that.
It doesn't work very well. So I don't do that anymore.
Like the worst. It's like, no, don't make me cool down. You come up on my level of anxiety. Like, join me.
I was just kidding. Any man who says calm down out loud is going to lose his testicles. I don't think it's a good idea at all. Obviously, you don't just tell a person who's upset to calm down. But like, what I'm saying is that from my perspective, I'm not having the same response. I don't even know how to interact with her when she feels that way, because I'm like, this is not what I'm doing. And this wouldn't even occur to me to do this. But I think I've learned over the years, it's not occurring to her to do it. It's just happening to her. Like, she just gets jacked up. Like that alarm goes off overnight. My wife gets a cortisol spike. She wakes right up. She's ready to fight a war. And I'm like, hey, her blood sugar just dipped under 70. Calm down. Like it's okay. I don't know what you do. I mean, I think for your sanity, I think you should probably keep working on giving him a better idea of how those tools work. Because when he can make more measured decisions, he's going to have better outcomes. And you're not going to be put in that situation as frequently, which isn't going to put him in dangerous situations. I almost feel like that's the conversation. Like, I know you want to be more in control. I want that for you as well. At the moment, sometimes we're doing really great and sometimes we're not. I think there's just a few more things you need to learn. Once you have those things, those tools in your tool belt, like, I think you're going to be great at this. I'm excited for you to go out and live your life and spend the night somewhere without me and Dad. But we got to get you to that point. Wishing it isn't going to make it true. We're going to have to do a little bit of work here to get to it.
Yeah, I was really bummed after that one night. I told them, I'm like, what a wasted opportunity. Like, you fought for this opportunity to be left overnight and you completely wasted it. Like, there's so little that you could have done. Just answer your phone. Okay, I have one last question.
Wait, Zuzka, let me just say this, though. Maybe a little less Eastern Bloc in that response there. You know what I mean? Just a little less. You're like, back home, we'd throw you out in the snow, and if you didn't die, then you were okay.
Right, that's right. All right, one more question, because I know you're going to be like, oh, we had the hour. we're done.
Hey, by the way, I want to say that's Rob's fault.
And all the money he's charging you. I know.
No. Listen, he's a very an awesome editor, and he's a very fair person. When it was just me editing, I would talk forever, and I'd be like, whatever. Like, if people want to listen for 90 minutes, they can listen for 90. If they shut it off in an hour, like, I don't care. But I do pay somebody by how they edit now, and I am much more cognizant of it. So, like, if you like that the episodes are a little shorter now, then you can thank Rob. And if you wish they were longer, it's Rob's fault. Wrongwayrecording.com if you're looking for an editor. But go ahead. What's your question?
Okay, one more question. So, Arden, what is she now? 22?
No, she's 20. She'll be 21 this summer.
20. Okay, never mind. Is she starting to see how much you have been doing for her in life? Or she's still like, no, like, that's automatic. There might, like, is there a way that son will see it at some point, like, oh my gosh, my mom wasn't that. She was just caring, trying hard.
Oh, I see. Okay. Legacy. We're worried about your legacy here. Okay.
Of course.
I would say that Arden's in the spot now where she still believes that I have unnecessarily put too much effort into her. I don't think she's going to get to the part you're talking about till mid to late 20s. And I base that on other conversations I've had with people in their mid to late 20s. I don't think this has anything to do with Arden and I or this situation. I really do think it just has to do, again, with like people and how our brains work. And I think that it's interesting, and I understand people who would say like, oh, you know, that person's 20, they're 22, they should know. But there's really great research that says your brain is still forming into your mid 20s. There's great research that says that young people benefit greatly by help with their diabetes up until like 25 years old, like help from their parents. So that's very beneficial. When I go back and interview people who are older, who fought their parents tooth and nail through that time, they'll tell you when they're 27, 28, 29, and 30, I wish I wouldn't have given my parents so much hassle. I wish I would have listened more. I did need help. I didn't realize it at the time. So I think right now we're in the I did need help. I didn't realize it at the time part. And I think that if we can continue to have a reasonable relationship the way we are right now, and trust me, not every day is great. We were like, Arden and I were yelling at each other about something tangentially diabetes related 48 hours ago. Like, you know,
perfect.
And
that makes me feel so much better.
Yeah. 100%. Like, I mean, like, and we were almost in we have a very similar personality. So we were almost in a screaming match at one point. Like, it stems from all the stuff that you've gone through and all the stuff that I've shared on here coming to a boiling point. I'm trying to assert this is needed and necessary. She's trying to assert her independence. It's all very important to do. I mean, I even think the argument's important to have. But, you know, the next day we're not fighting still. Like, we're reasonable and everything. And I just think we're in that part right now where she still thinks either, I don't know how she feels about it, whether she doesn't feel like she deserves or needs the attention, or maybe she just doesn't want it. Like, I don't know, like, you know, in that soup somewhere. I think that if we stay on the course we're on and keep making reasonable decisions, and I back off when it's not absolutely necessary, and she steps up when she's able to, that she'll continue to mature. She'll get to a point like we all do, where you look back and you go, oh my God, I broke my mom's balls on this and I didn't need to.
And I don't even need my son to realize that, like, you know, I was horrible. I just need him to understand that I am not this horrible, overbearing person. Like, I am just trying my hardest between raising him to be a functional human being and not hurting himself health-wise with diabetes, with a long-term complication.
Yeah, no, and that's completely reasonable. But you're in an unwinnable situation.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I can win.
Yeah, because you have all the challenges of raising a person mixed with all of the challenges of not taking care of diabetes well.
And hypothyroidism on top of it.
Yeah, and that for fun. Just because there wasn't enough to do. Yeah. So you have all those things mixed together. You're making the best of a not perfect situation. And the truth is, you know, when you see those people online who are diagnosed and they have this initial knee-jerk reaction, like, this just changed our lives, nothing's going to be the same anymore. Here's a secret. That's true, right? Like, but you have to adapt to it. You have to continue to do the best you can with the cards you're dealt. Like, that's what not giving up is.
Because it's not going to go away.
It's not going to go away. It's not going to change. And the implications on all sides aren't going to change. It's not going to stop being medically a medical disaster if you don't take care of yourself. Kids aren't going to stop not listening to their parents.
Cinnamon's not going to cure it.
Cinnamon's not going to get it. I mean, we tried it, it didn't work. So like, this is it. This is why I have over the years talked about the way astronauts think. Because an astronaut is taught to address the next thing that's trying to kill them. Because everything's trying to kill them. And so you can't fight all the things at once. You fight the thing that's in your face that is currently trying to kill you. That is not a fun way to live. And while I don't believe diabetes is a situation where everything is trying to kill you constantly, I do think that attacking it from that position is valuable. Of I'm going to deal with the thing right now that is the most present and most necessary to deal with. I'm not going to think about the rest of it because, yes, I'm dealing with this thing right now. And is there another thing that's going to try to get us 10 steps away? It is, but it doesn't help me to think about that right now.
And sometimes the mental health is more important than physical, right? Like sometimes we have to choose to back off.
Right.
And let them make mistakes to learn.
Listen, there's a diabetes version of a Saturday night where you eat ice cream and potato chips, right? Where you're just like, I've had a week. This is a disaster. I'm going to put the worst TV show on I can find, eat a pint of ice cream, and then I'm going to wash it down with a Dorito. And this is not a good decision for me. I shouldn't be doing this, but I don't really have another way out, right? Some people get into that situation and they drink. That's not a good decision. Some people get in that situation and they get high. That's not a great decision either. But sometimes people just get to a point where they need to do something. And if they don't do it, they're going to snap.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I'm talking about. Like snapping's not an option. So
no,
you got to bend.
Giving up is not an option.
Yeah. I don't think you're a big American football person, but sometimes you got to play a little prevent defense, a little bend, but don't break. Every play can't be, I can't give up a yard. You can't put that pressure on yourself because the other side's going to win sometimes. And if your goal is always perfection, then every time the other side moves, even if it's just a yard, you're going to feel like I failed. So once in a while, you say to yourself, on this next play, we're going to let them get 4 yards and I'm going to rest a little. And then I'm going to come back and smack them in the teeth and we'll put an end to it here. And I just think that sometimes that's what life is. And sometimes that's what diabetes is. Because again,
you know what I'm thinking?
What's that?
I'm thinking like, thank God he's using football, not baseball. Because going into it, I'm like, I have no idea about baseball. Like he's going to say something about baseball, like comparison, and I'm not going to get it.
You're not going to know it? No, I mean, listen, I can do it in baseball if you want.
I can understand a little bit.
Yeah, no, I can do it in baseball if you want, but it would have been more about like walking a batter and then like, it felt more natural.
I would not understand.
I honestly think football is the more natural like explanation.
Side to another.
Yeah, right? And if I grew up on the other side of the world, again, I think soccer is a great. Sometimes you just got to let people run themselves out. You know what I mean? Like you can't constantly be in a battle of perfection. It just doesn't work. So you keep playing the game. You give a little, you take a little, you give, you take, you go back and forth, and you just try to be on the right side of the score when it's over. I think that's all life is, honestly.
You know what I don't do on Fridays afternoon? Fun fact.
What's that?
I don't parent. That's my break.
That's your ice cream and Doritos. You're like, it's Friday.
Yes.
Try not to kill yourself. Goodbye.
Friday after school. Me and kids, I'm like, whatever. Get yourself dinner. Find yourself something. We all on our own, doing our own thing. I don't parent. As long as they don't die, we're good. Fridays afternoon.
Listen, we're just a couple of generations behind. That's how I was. Like, that was my entire life. Like, my wife will tell a story that during the summer, I don't think it's a story she thinks like, oh, I think my mom would love it if people heard this. She said during the summer, we got up, we got dressed, we ate. My mom literally pushed us out the door and locked it behind us. And it was come back at dinner. Like, you go take care of yourself today and come back at dinner. That was the 70s.
I know. I don't know how my parents did it. Like no cell phone, like, come back home with the street lights turn on.
Yeah, right.
Kind of deal.
My parents didn't know where I was ever. Never.
And you're here doing just fine.
I didn't have a portal to the world in my pocket. Like, so you could only, you could only plunder what you could walk to. And there wasn't much near you. A lot of my childhood is just wasting time. Just going around, kicking a ball around, throwing a ball around, talking to people, walking. How much of your life was spent walking to someone's house to see if they were home?
A lot.
Yeah. And then they weren't home and then you had to walk back. There's 2 hours a shot.
Yeah.
And you're tired. So you really can't get into much help. I mean, the worst thing that we could do as kids is shoplift. Like, seriously, like there really wasn't much to do if you were going to get into trouble. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a different world. So also, I think it's possible that our access to the world has made people more neurotic too. Like,
oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You feel
it's like with Dexcom, you like having Dexcom, but it's like all this data.
Sure. Right. When you hear that somebody 16 states away, lit a car dealership on fire, you think, oh, that could happen here. Yeah. And like, I mean, it's not going to happen there. It happened there. It's not going to happen all over the place. Like, there's bad weather in Texas. They don't have electricity. That makes you nervous. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. You didn't know about stuff like that before. You just didn't know. Like you knew about big things, and sometimes you didn't know about them for weeks or months until after they happened. And the nightly news was like not even a thing. Like most people didn't even watch it. But now it doesn't stop. Like, right? It does not stop. No matter what side of like any idea you're on, from the littlest thing, like how to make bread, to what's going on in politics, like, and everything in between, you have access to 1,000 opinions, and they're all jacking you up because they want you to like and subscribe. So like, you're just being ratcheted up to 1,000 every digital touch point you have in your life.
Yes. Yeah. See, people want me anxious. Obviously. Yes.
So you'll go back and check again. Yes. This is very simple. Like, that's why the news is scary. Like, even in the 80s, like, they'd always tell you something scary that was going on where you lived so that you'll come back next week to see if you're safe, or next day to see if you're safe. It's all marketing. Everything is marketing. You're being marketed to constantly. It's for your time. They want your time. They want your attention, because the longer you stay in their thing, the more they can charge for ads. That's all this is. If you just put your phone down, you'd feel better. If you stopped watching the news, the world wouldn't change one little bit. You don't actually have any impact over it. The world wouldn't change one little bit, and you would feel better. Doesn't matter who's your congressman or the president or what's happening in the world. The world is going to do what it's going to do. And you in your house, you don't have a lot of impact on it. So it'll make you feel better, but it's not going to actually do anything. You know what I mean? I was sitting in traffic the other day, and I saw a woman give a guy in a Tesla the finger. And it was clearly just because he was driving a Tesla, not because they weren't doing anything, right? And I thought, oh my God, does that woman think she's making a political statement? I was like,
you bet she is.
Yeah. And I thought, that's so interesting. And then I looked closer and I realized the guy in the Tesla didn't see her giving him the finger. Like, it never I'm watching the whole thing, like, from across the intersection. Like, this is fascinating. So she's now performatively giving him the finger because he doesn't see it. I thought, oh, she feels like she's done something.
Yeah, she felt better about herself.
Yeah, I was like, that's fascinating. I was like, she thinks she's making the world a better place. And I was like, that guy, that Tesla looks like it's 6 years old. He bought that a long time ago. You know what I mean? I'm like, this is all fascinating. My thought for her was, very simply, if she put her phone down, she'd be happier. That's what I thought when I saw that happening. She should really get off of her social media algorithm. It's making her crazy. That guy was he's just trying to go to work. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, put your phone down. You'll feel better.
Thanks.
You're very welcome. I appreciate you doing this with me very much.
Thank you, Scott. If
only we could have found a way to refer to you as Tennille at some point. We could have called this episode Captain and Tennille. Would have been awesome. But
I don't get that one. But
it's an old singing group from the 70s. Yeah. Don't look it up.
Wasn't living in America. Yeah. Are you like offending me right now? And I don't know about it.
No. It's just wordplay. Captain, no, please don't look it up. It's not worth looking into.
Now I have to.
No, please. That's going to be a big waste of 5 minutes of your life.
No, couch potato it is.
Yeah,
or whatever you said.
Couch potato summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it fits. Okay. All right, that's what we're going to do. Hold on 1 second for me, okay? Are you tired of getting a rash from your CGM adhesive? Give the Eversense 365 a try. EversenseCGM.com/juicebox. Beautiful silicone that they use. It changes every day, keeps it fresh. Not only that, you only have to change the sensor once a year. So, I mean, that's better. Thanks for tuning in today, and thanks to Medtronic Diabetes for sponsoring this episode. We've been talking about Medtronic's MiniMed 780G system today, an automated insulin delivery system that helps make diabetes management easier day and night. Whether it's their meal detection technology or the Medtronic extended infusion set, it all comes together to simplify life with diabetes. Go find out more at my link, medtronicdiabetes.com/juicebox. The podcast contains so many different series and collections of information that it can be difficult to find them in your traditional podcast app sometimes. That's why they're also collected at juiceboxpodcast.com. Go up to the top. There's a menu right there. Click on Series, Defining Diabetes, Bold Beginnings, the Pro Tip Series, Small Sips, Omnipod 5, Ask Scott and Jenny, Mental Wellness, Fat and Protein, Defining Thyroid, After Dark, Diabetes Variables, Grand Rounds, Cold Wind, Pregnancy, Type 2 Diabetes, GLP Meds, The Math Behind Diabetes, Diabetes Myths, and so much more. You have to go check it out. It's all there and waiting for you, and it's absolutely free. Juiceboxpodcast.com. Okay, well, here we are at the end of the episode. You're still with me? Thank you. I really do appreciate that. What else could you do for me? Why don't you tell a friend about the show or leave a 5-star review? Maybe you could make sure you're following or subscribed in your podcast app. Go to YouTube and follow me, or Instagram, TikTok. Oh gosh, here's one. Make sure you're following the podcast in the private Facebook group as well as the public Facebook page. You don't want to miss, please. Do you not know about the private group? You have to join the private group. As of this recording, it has 51,000 members in it. They're active, talking about diabetes. Whatever you need to know, there's a conversation happening in there right now. And I'm there all the time. Tag me. I'll say hi. The episode you just heard was professionally edited by Wrong Way Recording. WrongWayRecording.com.